Hey YouTube, today I have a short video on DIY miniature carrying cases. As you probably know by now, the miniature wargaming hobby is expensive in and of itself. I don't know about you, but I only have so much money, and I would rather use that on miniatures than carrying cases. Carrying cases can be very expensive. Of course, it is up to you whether you want to spend this money. If you would rather spend your money somewhere else, then this video is for you. If you want to make your own carrying cases, this is what you'll need. You'll need a tote of a certain size. You can get a $1 baking sheet from the dollar store. You'll need a good pair of sheet metal shears, and mandatory for your own safety, you should wear work gloves. Duct tape will be required as well. There are a variety of tote sizes to choose from. The one that I find most versatile is this 18-quart hefty high-rise tote. This is good because it can accommodate fairly tall miniatures, and you can easily lug around 1,000 points of a Warhammer army in this tote. So on to the process. When handling sheet metal, especially if you're cutting it, you definitely want to use work gloves like this. Safety should always come first. These are the sheet metal shears that I use from DeWalt. They work really well. Start on the short edge of the dollar store pan. Cut along the feature line here. Then repeat it on the opposite side. To aid with the main cut, you want to make 3 small cuts along the edge right here. Cut right up to the radius of the bend. Next, bend these tabs back so when you make the main cut, they'll be out of your way. When making the main cut, cut like you would with paper using scissors. But be careful. This is sheet metal, and there could be some splinters along the way, so watch your hands and make sure you have your work gloves on. One of the unfortunate byproducts of cutting into sheet steel is that you get splinters, and fairly sharp ones too, like here along the edge where I'm pointing. These are like little needles, so please be extremely careful when you handle this. Again, very carefully, you can use your shears and slowly snip off all these tiny needles. Do this over a surface that's easy to clean up, so that these splinters do not linger around on the floor and get you hurt. Since the short edges are going to be really rough, I'm going to protect them with some duct tape. For a more permanent bond, I usually put down a little bit of super glue. Then, ripping the duct tape to the required length, I place it carefully on top of the super glue, about half on one side and half for the other. Press it down a little bit to spread the glue, then rinse and repeat on the other side. The duct tape will seal away any roughness from those edges and prevent any cuts. The very corners may be a little bit sharp, but leave them that way. There's a reason for it, and I will show you later. Move around to the other short edge and do the same thing. The next step is purely optional, but what I do with all the waste material is that I actually cut them down into little squares that I can later use for magnetizing purposes. If you remember watching my Hurricane Pioneers video, you will notice that I use some sheet metal to attach to magnets. The sheet metal that I got was basically from this process. Instead of throwing away all the scrap metal, I carefully, very carefully, there's a lot of sharp edges on these, but I cut them up into small little pieces like this. Just doing this once for one baking sheet will give you more than enough pieces for a while. When fitting the baking sheet into your tote, you may want to bend forward the long edges to create a little bit of an interference fit to the tote. Now, if you remember, I said that the corners are going to be pretty sharp, but leave them that way. The reason for this is when you put it into the tote, those corners will bite into the plastic of the tote and retain the baking sheet inside without having any sort of additional adhesion like double-sided tape or anything else. Now that your tote is ready, you'll want to magnetize the bases of your miniatures. You can buy these 2x4 round magnets from Amazon, and what you will do is just simply apply some super glue to somewhere on the base, and then slide one magnet onto it, move it into position, and then just allow it to dry. For larger miniatures, you may want to switch to 2x10 magnets like this one. You can put 1, 2, or 3 magnets on the base to prevent it from sliding around. You can also use this magnetic tape from Amazon. This works well on flat bases without any hollow interior. What you would do is you would cut the tape out to the length that you need, and then bend it backwards so that it's not curved anymore. The adhesive is not terribly strong, so put some super glue on it to give it a more permanent bond. Then place it to the bottom of the base and then pressurize it for at least a few seconds until the glue bonds. Once you have magnetized everything, they just go into the tote with the baking pans, and it will stay in place during transportation to and from your gaming sessions. There are other options for totes as well, such as the Sterilite Stack and Carry. These are great for smaller armies, such as Kill Team, or in this case, Curse City. I put the entire contents of Curse City into several totes just like this. The magnetized surface keeps everything nice and in place. If you are going to transport larger armies, you may want a larger tote, such as this 45-quart tote that you can get from Lowe's or Home Depot. These should be able to carry up to 1500 points of Age of Sigmar or Warhammer 40,000. The baking pans will be pretty loose in this big tote, so I usually use duct tape and I just roll them over and place them at the bottom so that the pans don't move around. These totes allow for a lot of height, so you can put your larger models such as Morathi and Teclis, as you can see here. And that's about it. You have a lot of tote options that work well with these cheap dollar store baking pans. I hope this guide helps you come up with a transportation and storage solution that works with your budget and needs. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, remember to hit like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so that you don't miss any future content. Have fun hobbying, and I'll see you soon.